The following is a presentation of the MetLife Sports Media Network.
We're back.
We're big.
Yes, that's right. We missed Tuesday's show, but we're back on Saturday. Welcome to the Saturday edition of No Credentials Required, where you don't need a press pass to talk sports. We are proudly presented by the Belly Up Sports Media Network. My name is Ryan McCarthy. I'm one of your hosts, and to my right is the man who will be the general manager for the sports program at Oneonta next year, Dustin Henry. Dustin, how we doing today?
We're doing all right. I'm going to take over the ship. We're going to get the Red Dragons back into prominence. You know, the baseball program used to be very good. Soccer's the main thing, but we're going to make one thing very clear. Football. We're getting a football team. I'm going to make it happen.
Oh, man.
Oh, man.
That would be well. I say that because of what happened with Andrew Luck. He's now, I guess with NIL, name, image, likeness, and the NCAA, and players getting paid.
Yeah.
Programs are now establishing general manager positions instead of
there are
directors
positions now.
So Adrian Wojnarowski, Wojbaum, he's now the GM at St. Bonaventure. Andrew Luck is now the GM of Stanford University. His alumni,
His alma mater.
So yeah, so that's why I just kind of jokingly said, said that Dustin would be the GM at Oneonta because that's his alma mater.
Yeah,
By the way.
In truth, I don't think I'm a prominent enough alumni. And in their eyes, I've only donated to them one time since I left. So I'm not at the top of any list anymore.
Well, I mean, I don't know if someday you'll see me as the general manager of Regent University, because Regent is they just started a sports program in 2017, which is the first year I went to school. And they actually are in the process of going to, after being in the NCCAA, the National Christian Collegiate Association of Athletics, they're going into the NCAA Division III. So they only have a few sports: basketball, volleyball, baseball, softball, track and field, and soccer, I think.
Oh man, yeah. I mean, but that's an auspicious start though. They're jumping in with both feet, because that was the thing. I went to Oneonta and I loved it there. The campus fit for me. I loved the material I was studying. It was I picked it. Music industry. We see how successful it was, but I picked it nonetheless. Loved it. But the sports, I gotta admit, it was a little lackluster. Soccer was the big thing up there, and I just never got into it. If there was an Oneonta Hartwick game, I would go, and the atmosphere for those were pretty good. But baseball, I never really checked out the baseball, even though the baseball program did have some prominence because, you know, Oneonta was a minor league town at certain points, and they love their baseball out there, Cooperstown being so close. But also, then there was basketball, and shout out to you, Matt Latino, if you're listening. My old roommate, he played basketball at Providence back in the day, but he transferred into Oneonta because he wasn't a starter at Providence. He would come off the bench, and he was like, I basically took fouls. You know, I was good enough to. He's like, I'm good enough to make the team, but I wasn't like playing a lot of meaningful minutes.
Yeah, he was basically the garbage time guy.
Yeah. and so he said I transferred here, one, because it had a good program for my educational major, and also was a discount for my parents because they were helping him with his educational opportunities. but he also knew he would get minutes. He tried out for the Oneonta basketball team, and let me tell you, he was an instant starter. So then I started, once he was on the team, I started watching some Oneonta basketball games and stuff, but it was like D3 and stuff. It just wasn't, maybe that's why I don't have the attachments to college sports, is because I didn't go to like an SEC school where like football games are crazy and stuff like that. But hey, it's Saturday show. We already are way off topic, and I love it.
Topic. That's okay. That's what Saturday shows are all about. But I do have to do some. I do have to do some business side stuff first before we continue. So please, just a reminder to follow us on social media: Facebook.com/NoCredsREQ, Twitter, Instagram, and scarcely used TikTok @NoCredsREQ, and YouTube.com/@NoCredsREQ. Subscribe to the podcast on the audio side wherever you podcast, including Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Spreaker, Amazon Music, iHeart, TuneIn, and Pandora. And get notified on Twitter, I refuse to call X, and on YouTube. That way you know when we're live or we put up new videos or we tweet something. You get immediately notified of what we're doing. On the podcast side, rate and review. A 5-star rating is always helpful. Review if you're on a platform where you can review, and also on Spotify, leave a comment. You can leave a comment for every show, past and present. Leave us a comment. We might even read it on the air. And engage with the show. We've already got a comment in the show comments. Engage with the show. Leave a comment. Dustin, the little hand on my watch, or not existing watch, is telling me it's telling me something.
It's time for chimes. Chime time.
Chime time. And like I said, we've got a comment in this comment section already. Good morning, gentlemen. Good morning to Julie from Michigan, who I'm sure is very excited, based on the events of what happened on Thursday night.
Oh yeah. She has a knack for timing it right when we're about to talk about the Lions.
Right. Oh, for sure. But first, before we talk about Thursday night football, in lieu of hot food takes this week, Dustin got the chance to go to MetLife Stadium on Sunday and be there for the Jets Seahawks game. Dustin, I know we've been to MetLife before, but this is a different experience for you because you get to witness a pretty decent game. But tell the folks at home what you did. I might have some questions. I might intervene with some questions here and there. But what was your experience at this particular game like for you?
Well, this particular game, first of all, I enjoyed the weather a lot more when you and I went to MetLife because this one was a cold one. You can call me a diva. You can call me whatever you want. I saw the pictures of people in Buffalo shirtless shoveling snow for $20 an hour. That's never going to be me. We all layered up. First of all, it was myself and Nick, my brother-in-law, and then a friend of his from a former job he had, and then Mr. Scott Mastriani joined us as well. So we were heading down. Nick got us there. Scott and I thought we'd be there around 11. We left the house. We left the house a little after 8 o'clock. Let's just say we got down there with plenty of time to spare. So we
I'll take 3 guesses. I'll take one wild guess as to who was driving.
Yeah. You know exactly who was driving. He was out there. He got us down there. I mean, he's not watching this, so I'll say he got us. We pulled into MetLife Stadium at 9:58.
God,
I was like, oh my
Lord, like going ludicrous speed.
I know. So we pull in, and Scott had taken care of the parking for us. He got us some good parking. We were in lot G. Lot G was where we were, so we had preferred parking, I think it was called. No Eli Storch this time.
Well, Scott was Eli Storch.
Yeah, Scott was Eli Storch. So we get in there, and we had decided I was responsible for some of the food elements of the trip. So I just brought like cookies and stuff because it was
Mhm.
we talked about the idea of bringing a grill, Ryan. And let me tell you, there were some people that had some elite setups out there.
Oh
And
yeah.
there's one thing that we should discuss. It looked like there was like a party bus. There were like party
Yes.
buses or whatever with like karaoke and all these things. I wonder what it would take to get a trip together. We should try to get a trip of enough people together to rent like one of those party buses, because
Oh,
that's the
for
way to
sure.
do it. But when it's warmer, I can't do it. You, like I said, call me a diva, call me whatever you want. But it ended up, the high was 39, and when the sun was
That's
out, you
not
were
too
okay.
bad.
No,
That's not
that's
too
not too
bad.
bad. Not too bad. But let me tell you, when the sun wasn't out, you were feeling it, because the
Oh,
wind, as you know, it whips through MetLife.
oh, it does.
It
It
really,
does.
it really does. But there was a good mix of Seahawks and Jets fans there. Scott had brought a couple cigars. He and I were
Ooh.
the only ones that partook, and we did subs because we had discussed,
Yeah.
what would be easy to bring. So Nick was able to get some bread. His former coworker was able to get some things as well, and we
Nice.
just made subs, and we sat and we chilled and we talked, and then we went in. We were right by the Moody entrance. That's where our gate was. We were supposed to go in there, and it's when we get to the actual game, I got in and the seats. So we're out there, we're tailgating, we layered up. Our setup was okay. We had a table, we had chairs, we had cigars, we had our food. We were drinking some Miller Lights, which my friend Chris was very disgusted with our choice of Miller Light. But I'm like, hey man, this is a football game. We're starting early. You do
Yeah.
not want to be drinking a fruited sour, okay? You won't even.
You don't want me drinking a triple Belgian triple or a
Yeah,
quadruple before a game. You
yeah,
gotta start your day light.
that's not what this is for. That's not what
No,
this is for.
no.
But how I could tell, we were all old men, Ryan. We were all
Oh boy.
afraid. Well, those of us that were drinking. My brother-in-law was not among
No,
the drinkers. He was driving, and also he really doesn't drink anymore. So,
no.
um, but those of us, we were all afraid that we were going to break the seal, and we're like, no, we can't do that, we can't be breaking it. But it was a nice atmosphere at MetLife. Like I said, good mix of Hawks fans versus Jets fans there.
Of course,
um
'cause the Jets
and
suck. Because
y-
of course, the season ticket holders who don't want to go are going to sell their tickets, and of course, Seahawks
yeah,
fans are going to grab them.
yeah,
That's
yeah.
how it is these days.
And I mean, thanks to my brother-in-law, got amazing seats. I mean, I sent you a
Yeah,
picture of where we are. I think they were even slightly better than our seats that we got the one time. And
right.
our seats were very good. I mean, I've been spoiled seat-wise. Both of the NFL games I've been to, incidentally enough, both at MetLife, because I know Jets fans. um, they were great seats. And once we got into the game, a few Seahawks fans were around me, but it was mostly Jets fans. And once the game started, I really thought, and I won't break down the game too much because it's last week now. It's old news, but I really thought the Jets had the opportunity to blow us out. They really did. And then when Aaron and I texted you, I said early it would appear I am a jinx because I thought it was really going to go south. Aaron Rodgers then missed Garrett Wilson very badly on a chance that I think would have brought them up 21-0 because Laviska Shenault, I'm not even 100% sure. Oh, my thumb is there. I
Yeah, I was gonna
apologize for that. But those were our seats. They were very
say,
good
yeah,
seats. And you could see by then I was removing some of my layers. I had 4 layers. They were, it was but once that sun went down, let me tell you, it started to drop. But and fan wise, there was a fight that we witnessed. It was far away from us though, because I will say to all fans, okay, there was a Seahawk fan that was in a knockoff Geno Smith jersey. Knockoff, and I know it was knockoff because one of my friends, years ago accidentally purchased a knockoff Earl Thomas jersey for me, and
Mhm.
they have a certain look to them. It was still hand sewn, but you can tell there's other like little abnormalities, and that's
Yeah.
what this guy's Geno Smith jersey looked like. Now, this guy had a crazy haircut, nice haircut. I could not pull it off. He had like designs in his hair and everything. It was looking nice, but this guy was chirping nonstop the whole game. The whole game. And I'm
I
like, you're
hate
just
those type of
asking
people.
for it.
Yeah.
You are asking for
Yeah.
something bad to happen. And there were some Jets fans that were starting to get on him a little bit, but mostly the interaction, I have to say, I applaud the majority of both fan bases because all the interactions I saw were pretty positive between the two. And let's be honest, both teams played extremely sloppy in that game. So it wasn't like we were witnessing. It was a close game. It
Yeah.
was entertaining. But Laviska Shenault, he fumbled 2 kickoff returns. He stood in front of another fumble. Like this was a terrible game for him. And like I said, the Jets had the opportunity to go up big early, and then Aaron Rodgers missed that throw to Garrett Wilson by a mile, and old Leonard Williams picked it off and ran it back, and that was kind of the turning point. But both teams, I mean, the Seahawks had a scoring opportunity at the goal line, and they couldn't stuff it in. This game was very, very bad. It was fun to watch, but it was also frustrating. We were lucky that Seattle escaped with the win there, because Aaron Rodgers really in the second half kind of disappeared, and the Jets came out with some gas early in the game, but then it kind of it just dissipated. But this one Seahawk fan, he was aggravating people because he kept saying, he would say things like, y'all drafted him, but you didn't know how to win with him, and he's pointing to his jersey. He's like, Geno's him. I'm like, dude, he's not him. Like I'm like, he's done all right, but he's not him. And he's just chirping and chirping. And the one thing, Scott and I were laughing, and even Scott said, he goes, I hope the Jets come back, which they almost did. He goes, I hope the Jets come out of here with a win just so I could shove it in that guy's face. He was getting under Scott's skin now.
That's hard to do.
Yeah. But the guy was chirping, but there was one funny moment after that fight that was far away from us broke out. He turns and he goes, hey, New York, and I'm going to use my FCC allowed swear word. He goes, hey, New York, I'm just talking a lot of shit. He goes, I don't want that smoke. It's all love for you. I don't want beef. I don't want beef. So I did laugh at that. That was pretty funny. But my favorite part of the game was a particularly annoyed Jets fan with a heavy accent. The guy goes, yeah, we get it. Geno sucked when we drafted him, and he still sucks. The way he said it to that guy, and it cracked us up. But it was a good day. It was a back and forth game to watch. Both teams could have won this game easily. Both teams played extremely sloppy football, but the Seahawks managed to pull it out. And so all in all, it was a good day, and I was happy when I got home to be in the heat and eating, because like I said, that brief high of 39, once that sun went down and the wind started to pick up again, eating a sub and when it's like 23 degrees, not. So I'd love to experience a game at a warmer temperature, but some of these people's setups, people had CDs. Or not CDs. People had TVs. They were out there watching the games. It was crazy. And Scott or somebody was telling a story that one guy told him at a previous game he'd been to. He's like, "Oh yeah, I rent a TV every week for the games, and then I just bring it back." And it's like you'd think they'd catch on. Like the same guys like buying or renting a TV or whatever, and then returning it hours later.
Or maybe he goes to different locations.
Maybe he does. Or
they just know, like, hey, he's coming back. Hey, there's Eli again. There's Eli Storch. He's going to get another TV.
Yeah. But it was a fun time. Thanks for letting me indulge. If you don't follow me on Instagram, Follow me. I posted a couple reels. You know me, I'm not the biggest Instagram poster, but I had to get some stuff up there for the game. I know Kevin wanted some picture, so we got it at LDusto67. Kevin, you can look at the pictures. They're there. And also once Daniel Smooth, your co-host on the Three Rails Metro Hockey Podcast. He was there.
Oh, man.
We talked a little bit the next day.
Yeah.
His seats were in a different locations. He's got some great shots of the game as well. So go check him out on Instagram and all the socials as well.
He said, he did note in the comments he was there. I actually saw his pictures on Instagram. He says, I'm sure the council shall approve of this. I got sick after that game.
Well, you said you were going
I wonder if he said, but what kind of sick? Like, you have a cold? Did you get, did you eat something bad at the game? Like what happened?
No, I am guessing because of one of his posts, and he said he had British guys around him. So I'm thinking that he might have gone to the pub and got a little sick after the game. I don't know though. I don't know.
Yes. And he also says, shout out to SeatGeek, one of our sponsors. $20 off your order, $50 or more at SeatGeek.com. Promo code BellyUpSports. He also said, nasty cold, I'm clean, lads. So
all right.
But I got a question for you, Dustin. I don't think maybe you didn't say this, but maybe you did, maybe you didn't. I gotta ask, because we always do hot food takes on Saturday. Did you have any of the stadium food?
I did not have any of the stadium food.
Sad.
I did have a stadium. I had a stadium beer. Beer.
How much? That's at your back.
Well, that Scott was very generous, and he bought me. It was a Blue Point, but let's just say it was more expensive than any Blue Point I've had previously. But surprisingly, not as bad as SPAC. We were talking about SPAC's prices, Ryan. MetLife Stadium, a beer was cheaper than at SPAC, which I was blown away by.
That's shocking.
I know.
That's very shocking.
I know, but it wasn't my intention not to have any stadium food. We ate a lot of subs and chips and cookies and stuff. Like, it was enough to get me through the game. Yeah. Shout out to Hannaford for those cookies.
Shout out to Hannaford. Hannaford does good cookies, man. I gotta say.
They do.
And Samuel Smooth saying Long Island's own Blue Point, by the way. Yes, Long Island, New York's their own Blue Point brewery. I've had the Pinstripe Pilsner. The Pinstripe Pilsner is very good.
Yeah.
Always a crushable beer during watching, during Yankee games or after the mowing the lawn. It's just nice.
I got to get some more of that. Come summer, I'm getting that Pinstripe Pilsner when baseball's in the air, and probably when Dr. Lady starts watching again, because we'll be talking.
We're talking more baseball.
Yeah.
Although her fiance is a big football fan, and I also found out he's a hockey fan too. So
okay, all right. Hopefully he's tuning into both this show and the Three Rails Metro Hockey Podcast.
Yeah. This week's edition, because we missed out last week because I was helping a friend move.
Yeah.
But this week's edition is going to be absolutely off the rails.
Oh, I'm gonna be checking that one out. It's funny. I check out the show sometimes, even though I'm not a fan of any of the teams you guys talk about.
Yeah. But here's the thing: the Islanders currently in last place in the Metropolitan Division. So, we'll Stainless Smooth will address that.
Yes.
The Rangers
Bruce is going to need to make an appearance.
Yes, Bruce the Shark is going to have to make an appearance for sure. The Rangers, they're in a heap of trouble, but they just traded their captain to Anaheim. And my New Jersey Devils, a good spot right now.
I was going to say you have nothing to say.
I got nothing to complain about right now because the Devils are they're tied for first place in the Metro Division with the Capitals of all teams. They just don't die.
Yeah.
And he says, and Stainless Smooth says, spoiler alert, I'm in a bad mood. Yep.
Yeah, I could sense it. Sense it. Sunday's elation did not last for Mr. Smooth.
No, epic rant incoming
And I have to
for
ask you
sure.
because I am ignorant of the geography of the Long Island region, Mr. Smooth, but I used to have a very cool shirt because I got it at a brewing festival and I remember liking their beer. How close is Port Jeff Brewing to you, or Port Jeff? Is that down that way? Because if you haven't been to Port Jeff Brewing, based off the one beer I had at a brewing festival, I would recommend it. But I love the shirt too. I wish that shirt still fit.
So
Um,
I'm looking at a map, and Port Jeff, yes, is on Long Island
I thought it
for
was.
sure.
I thought it was.
It's off Route 28A.
Mhm.
So, um, but it opens soon. It opens at 11 a.m. So if we wrap this up in a pretty tight window, we can get there for a couple beers with Mr.
Yeah.
Smooth.
Maybe that's a future meeting place for
I
the
have
three
been
of us.
I have been advocating for a belly up northeast meetup with
Mhm.
Daniel Smooth, with Jared, with Matt, Chris from the corner booth with the corner booth guys.
Yeah.
So I've been advocating for that for years. And he does say 20. It's Port Jeff is 20 minutes north of him. Everything on Long Island is close by.
Okay, gotcha.
Unlike upstate New York, where at least where I live, is 20 to 30 minutes away from everything.
Yeah, yours. Well, because I am much more familiar with your stretch of the Northway, north of the Twins, as
Mm-hmm.
Amanda used to call it, because I was
Yes.
driving up there a lot of times. Down here, all the exits are close together, and then you get past a certain point, and you're just like I remember that between 16 and 17 felt like an eternity for me. I'd be like, oh man.
All right. Oh, and he also says, "Drunk Jared and drunk me, Dustin Smooth. Drunk Staniel will cause the fires of Mount Doom to erupt. Just make sure you bring that ring with the ring of power with you
Yeah.
to Mount Doom, so you can throw it into the fire." But yeah, that's Lord of the Rings talk. All right, enough Lord of the Rings talk. Let's talk about Thursday's Packers Lions game. This was it's another Thursday night game I missed. I guess I gotta get out of that habit of missing Thursday night games, but this was a game I regret missing out on because this was going to be one of the best Thursday night games of the year, possibly of the history of ever.
Mhm.
But I caught the highlights. I caught the stat line. The Lions keep it rolling. They earn a playoff berth. Great. It's great for them. And Jared Goff, we talked about, we did our first MVP power rankings a couple weeks ago. We might bring him back next week. But Jared Goff is definitely in the discussion for sure with the performance that he had on Thursday night.
Yes.
283 yards, 3 touchdowns. We talk about we've been beating this drum about how Dan Campbell needs to dial back the fourth down attempts. They went for fourth down.
Yeah.
They went for it on fourth down 5 times. 5 times in this game. They converted 4 of them.
Yeah.
4 of them, including the very important, including the last one with which was a 4th and 1, which they converted, and it's
Grapefruits.
Bates.
Grapefruits on this man.
Yes, the grapefruits on this man. If you know the reference, you know the reference. But yeah, they went for on 4th and 1, got the first down, set up Jake Bates for the walk-off winner. Lions 12 and 1. They arguably the best team in the NFC for sure. The first to earn a playoff berth in the NFC.
Yeah. I mean, I saw, I think it was Ryan Clark on the 4-Letter Network yesterday. I was off yesterday, so I was watching some stuff, getting some things, trying to get some things done around the house and trying to prep myself mentally for the rush of the holiday season. But I still think the Lions are the best team in the NFC. I know the Eagles are on fire right now. I know that they've closed the gap a little bit, but the Lions. Okay, so I did watch this game. I made a mental note. I said, okay, I'm not making any plans for Thursday. I'm going to watch this game because I feel I've been letting the show down, by not watching as many of the Thursday night games. But But I did watch this one. And as a reminder, when I come to power as commissioner of the NFL, there will be no Thursday night games until Halloween or
Yep.
after Halloween, depending on when it
Week
falls,
10.
because
Week 10.
look at the quality. Look at the quality of these games now. All of the teams are like this Thursday night game, no joke, might have been one of the best games of the season. Okay. I watched it in the first half, and I have a special question, Ryan, that I've been waiting to ask you. The Detroit Lions recently signed Jamal Adams to their practice squad, and because of injuries, Jamal was out there. He was out there. He was playing in this game. There were so many injuries. So credit to Aaron Glenn for trying to piece this defense together. I think Aaron Glenn, could he be looking at the Saints job? I don't know. I think he's going to get a job this offseason.
Yeah.
But in the first half, the Lions defense, I was shocked. Despite all of the injuries, they were generating a pass rush. They weren't necessarily sacking Jordan Love, but they were getting to him. They were causing problems. Jordan Love, I've been banging this drum a little bit. He did not have a good game. He did not have a good game at all. I think he passed for just over 200 yards, no touchdowns. He's not Jared Goff. When you look at Jared Goff, Jared did throw a pick this game, but Julie in the comments earlier said Jared Goff is him. That's right. He is certainly much more closer to him than Geno Smith, despite what that guy in the knockoff Seahawks jersey thought. But Jared Goff did throw a pick in this game, but other than that, he was masterful. They were using, and credit to Ben Johnson, the offensive coordinator of the Lions. They were using play action. The running attack was going. David Montgomery was getting some work in the passing game. Jahmyr Gibbs was doing things that he always does. Amon-Ra was kind of relatively silent by his standards in this game. Tim Patrick, the former Denver Broncos receiver, he caught 2 touchdowns in this game, which is very surprising. But if you know his story, it's very nice to see him have a role in this Lions offense a little bit and catch some touchdown passes. That guy, he was a former high-round draft pick out of Denver, and he missed a lot of I think 2 full seasons because of back-to-back because he had ACL injuries or something of that nature. He hadn't played a lot of football, so it was nice to see him out there making a full recovery, coming back. But and credit to the Packers, and I'm kind of doing a quick recap of the game. The Lions led 17-10 at half, and this kind of had a feel of like a defensive game because the Packers were getting getting through to the Lions a little bit. Their defense, both these defenses are not slouches. Even though the Lions didn't do me any favors fantasy-wise in our matchup this week, Ryan, they ended up giving me a hearty 2 points on defense, but. Credit to the Packers for adjusting their game plan and going more to Josh Jacobs in the second half because they knew their passing attack wasn't working. Right. Josh Jacobs, 3 rushing touchdowns for the second straight game. He has 6 rushing touchdowns in his last 2 games. Josh Jacobs, clearly, I mean, I still think they jettisoned Aaron Jones a little prematurely, but you have to say Josh Jacobs has been an upgrade for the Packers at the running back position. And it was a nice coaching job by LaFleur and the Packers coaching staff to make some adjustments. I think his yardage total wasn't that great. It was like 66 yards or something for the game. But towards the goal line, he got in there. He made this game close. And I submit that Dan Campbell is the only coach that would have gone for it in that situation. Most other coaches, to get that field goal, they probably would have kicked the field goal from the further distance. But Dan Campbell, he was playing some 4D chess out of there, and he was wearing his grapefruits were on full display because that man was like, no, I'm going to go for it. And it almost was a disaster because Jared Goff almost fell down on the handoff, but they convert on a 4th down, which effectively neutralized. It did not leave enough time on the clock for the Packers to actually try to get something going to win the game. So that was Dan Campbell. He wanted to eat up the time, which is why he went for it. And yeah, just an unbelievable game. We may have already seen the most intriguing matchup, and it was on Thursday night. But to circle all the way back, and I'll shut up now, Jamal Adams, you know him well as a Jets fan. The Jets drafted him. He had his best season in New York. I know him well. I know him well as a Seahawks fan, but I didn't get to see him play much because he was often injured. Do you think Jamal Adams has anything to give this Detroit Lions team? They signed him. I don't know how his season was going in Tennessee. I know he and Quandre Diggs, both formerly of the Seahawks defense, went down to Tennessee. I don't really know how Jamal Adams had played in Tennessee, or if he had played, because he might have gotten injured again, just given his injury history. He did have a couple of moments for the Seahawks where he really, there was one game particularly I remember against the Giants, I think it was. He was all over the field. He was a menace, but it was right after the Seahawks made that trade for him, and one of the few times he wasn't injured. But you remember him well from his time in New York. Do you think he has anything to add to this Lions defense with the injuries? They need this.
Yeah, I mean, so I'm looking at Pro Football Reference, and the Titans signed him in July, placed him on the IR on the 12th of October, then placed him on the non-football injured list, then released him 5 days later.
Yeah. So he didn't really get to play in Tennessee.
So either. It sounded like he didn't really get to play in Tennessee. I think they were all set in terms of defense, because their defense is one of the best in the league, even though they're having the season they've been having.
Yeah.
I mean, he's a healthy body. That's all I can say. He's a healthy body at this point. Just to put out there, and yeah, the Lions have had their injuries especially in the secondary. They can find a way to put him somewhere, and Aaron Glenn, as a New York Jets, former New York Jet legend. I mean, another former Jet we're talking about, and another guy who could possibly earn the job as the Jets head coach next year.
Yeah,
he's a very good defensive coordinator, and he knows where to put guys in the right place to help out. So if he can help Jamal Adams, I wouldn't say resurrect his career, but at least, I mean, it looks like he's towards the swan song of his career because of all the injuries that he's had. I mean, yeah, he's 29 years old, but with the Jets, he did what he could with the Jets, wanted more money with the Jets, got traded, got that big contract, didn't live up to that potential with Seattle, got released, signed with Tennessee, and then got released by Tennessee, and he needed a job. And Detroit said, yeah, we're going to bring you in, put you on the practice squad. Oh, we need more bodies in the secondary.
Yeah.
We got to put you in. And he'll do, I mean, Aaron Glenn will do what he can to help him out. I mean, I know he was Mr. Blitz Boy in New York and in Seattle, given that title because he was a strong safety who would come in and get a safety blitz and get a sack or a fumble and change the game around. So if they can do something, so if Aaron Glenn can do something with him in the back and in that secondary, sure, yeah, why not? Go for it.
Mm-hmm.
So we'll see if his career gets resurrected or he goes out, or if the Lions, hopefully for them and their fans, win a Super Bowl, might go out for the sunset with a Super Bowl ring on his finger. We'll see.
Yeah. I mean, who knows? But either way, huge win for the Lions. I think it goes a long way in possibly sewing up this division. The NFC North has been ridiculous this season. A great division to watch because even for all of their foibles, the Bears have played hard this season. You have to give them that. So But this division, I mean, just getting whoever gets through this division and wins it deserves a first round bye on principle, because this division is not an easy one to get to the top of. And Dan Campbell, like I said, the only one with the onions to go for it. And we have chided him on the show for going for it too much. But when you convert 4 out of 5, can't really blame him. And it shows that he believes in his guys and they believe in him.
Yeah. Grapefruits, onions. You're bringing all the produce this morning.
Yeah.
All right, let's go to the comment section before we take our commercial break. The playmaker, Darnell Salins, saying, good morning, no cred bros. Sorry I'm late preparing for championship weekend. Hey, stop by when you can, man.
Yeah.
I mean, championship weekend in terms of college football. We had 3 games yesterday. The American, the Mountain West, and Conference USA, they were all blowouts. So, and Austin Jeanty may have solidified his bid for the Heisman with that another great performance he had yesterday against UNLV. Boise State clinching a college football playoff spot. Julie from Michigan saying, I hate that guy. I think she might be referring to Josh Jacobs.
I believe so.
Such a pain in the butt. Also says Packers fans complaining about that play, saying Goff was down, and so the refs bailed out the Lions. The rule says that if a quarterback has the ball and his knee is down, the play is dead in terms of that play. So, look, it's referees are human. As much as we give them flack, they're human.
Yeah.
Kevin Wilson from Belly Up Fantasy Sports saying, what happened to Reed? Put a big old donut in this game. I need him to have something in fantasy.
Oh man, Kevin, the Packers wide receiver core is one that I gave up on long ago, because you just never know who's going to put up the big game. They've been unreliable in that respect. Because of 6 teams on bye, NFL do better. This is the start of the fantasy playoffs for many people, or in some cases the last week of the regular fantasy season, and you got 6 teams on the bye. It's ridiculous. I needed Tucker Kraft. I needed a tight end. I went and grabbed him off of waivers, and luckily he came through for me. But yeah, the Packers wide receivers, I can't begin to figure them out. It's like Sean Payton's running backs in Denver. You don't want any part of any of them.
Samuel Smooth saying you can make a great argument that the Jamal Adams trade cost Pete Carroll his job.
Yeah, I would agree with you, Staniel. I would, because Pete Carroll, he wanted Jamal Adams because you know how important the safety position was and the linebacker position was to that defense. And he really was the one that, from what we understand, he was the one that campaigned for Jamal Adams. And we all know how that one worked out, didn't we? El Prez wasn't too good up in Seattle in the Pacific Northwest.
In terms of the Detroit winning the Super Bowl, Julie says, from my lips to God's ears. Look, right now, my spirit animal, my spirit team is the Detroit Lions, and hopefully my stink doesn't get on them.
Well, and I still have to thank the Lions, because that year in 2022, when they had nothing to play for, they beat the Packers, and as a result, the Seahawks got to go into the playoffs. Now, they did lose to the 49ers that year, so it wasn't like they made it that far, but still, love the Lions for that one. They had every reason to lay down in that game, and they did not. It just shows Dan Campbell, he had it going, because I think they finished 3-13-1 that year, 2022. I'm trying to remember, or was that the beginning of the turnaround?
That was the beginning of the turnaround, because I think they went 7-10 that year because they beat the Jets.
Oh, okay, yep.
I remember them beating the Jets, and that was the year of the turn. That was definitely the year of the turnaround. And then the next season, they were in the NFC Championship game.
Yeah.
Kevin Wilson saying 6 teams on the bye should never happen. Agree. And Playmaker saying 6 championship games today in college football. Tomorrow is a final college football playoff rankings. Busy weekend. Indeed. All right, we're going to take our mandated commercial break. When we come back, we're going to talk about Week 14 in the NFL, what we're looking forward to, what we're not looking forward to. So please stand by and stay tuned for more No Credentials Required. This episode of No Credentials Required is brought to you by Invader Coffee. For the coffee lover who wants good, quality coffee with no bullshit and no filler, Invader Coffee is an ultra-premium, veteran-owned coffee company proudly delivering only the best coffee your hard-earned money can buy. They aim to only serve the highest quality organic, air-roasted coffee beans sourced from free trade farms all over the world. They keep things simple. The best coffee at an affordable price in order to provide you with the value you deserve for your morning boost. 100% fair trade, 100% organic coffee beans, 100% air-roasted, 100% money-back guarantee. Visit invadercoffee.com, enter promo code BELLYUP at checkout, and receive 15% off your order. Well, folks, Invader Coffee is the Saturday sponsor of No Credentials Required, the affiliate sponsor, excuse me. We've been talking about how they have limited stock right now. Unfortunately, they still have limited stock out there. The only thing that's available right now is the Mexican Mexican chocolate blend, only available in K-cups. So, but hopefully there's
I have a bit of an update, a little bit of breaking news, but yesterday I got an email that the holiday blends were back in stock. So I promptly went to the site. I used the affiliate link in the description below. I typed in the code BELLYUP, saved myself some scratch, and I have been informed that my order has shipped. So right now I got the cookie crumble and I got Bad Santa, my two favorites of the holiday blend. They are back in stock, but Ryan is right. Their stock, unfortunately, in some areas is still low. But if you act quickly, you can get some holiday blend for the holidays for you. So I had to re-up because I just ground up the last of my pumpkin pecan today for this very show. It's what I'm drinking, and this coffee is gonna get to me fast. You pay a little bit more for the shipping, but our discount helps. Use the affiliate link; it helps us out a little bit. But then, most importantly, use that code because it helps offset the little bit more that you pay for the priority shipping. But it gets to you fast. And I have not met a blend yet that I have not enjoyed. And I'm not just saying that. I am an avid drinker of this product. I know Ryan is too. Longest sponsor of the show, if I'm not mistaken.
Yes.
But I wanted to, I didn't mean to interject there, Ryan, but I just wanted to let you know.
Thank you for correcting me, because I still looking at the affiliate website and it's still saying limited supply. So
yeah,
so maybe I need to do my due diligence and give myself notification. But yeah, the holiday blends are in stock. I still have the bag of pumpkin pecan that I owe Dustin, which I'll get to him if I remember to bring it next time I see him. So he'll get plenty of pumpkin pecan from now until I have it in stock next year. But yeah, go to our affiliate link in the description on YouTube, on Facebook, and on the podcast side. Use promo code BELLYUP at checkout, 15% off your order. You're also helping the show with the affiliate link. They are the longest running affiliate sponsor with no credentials required because they make great coffee. It's air roasted. It's veteran owned. And who doesn't want to help a veteran owned company? Come on. They fought for your freedom, fought for your right to purchase coffee, and you can get it at Invader Coffee using the link in the description for again helping their show. Help out the show with the affiliate link. Couple of comments in the comment section. Julie did say 3-13-1 was the last year of the Matt Patricia era.
Okay.
And Playmaker saying, and he puts in all caps, this is the only week the Rams are allowed to lose. The only week. And I'm shaking my fist because he put Shake's fist. But by the way, I did look at the future the future Thursday night football schedules. This is what's coming up for the rest of the year. This Thursday, Rams, Niners.
Yeah. If the Niners didn't have all their injuries, this could be a good matchup. Who knows? It could be if the Niners are able to get up defensively for this one. Yeah. But the Rams too, I mean, they need to play for their playoff lives. So it could. I'll probably tune in and at least watch part of that one.
Yeah. The following Thursday is Broncos Chargers. So that might be an interesting matchup because both teams are in the midst of are in the hunt for the wild card berth in the AFC. Week 17, which is the last Thursday night game of the year. Your Seattle Seahawks, Dustin, facing the Chicago Bears.
Oh, I mean, I'll be watching that one.
You'll of course you'll be watching that one.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
Here's the thing about that week 17. So they only have they have the two Christmas games, Chiefs, Steelers, Ravens, Texans, Thursday night game. Then they have a Sunday night game. Sorry, they have the Sunday games. This is the only ones that are currently set in stone. All right.
Uh-huh.
Jets at Buffalo, Packers, Vikings, Raiders, Saints, Panthers, Bucks, Titans, Jaguars, Cowboys, Eagles, and then Sunday night game. The Sunday night game is Dolphins, Cleveland. Monday night is Detroit at San Francisco. However, these other games, there are 5 games that are flexed that week. Now, I don't know if they're going to play if they're going to have Saturday games for these, but these are the flex games right now. Broncos, Bengals, Cardinals, Rams, Chargers, Patriots, Colts, Giants, Falcons, Commanders. Those are the flex games, and then that's it for the Thursday games for the rest of the year. So yeah, so get some exciting things coming up in the NFL. Bye weeks this week, 6 teams: Ravens, Broncos, Texans, Colts, Patriots, and the Commanders, all on bye week, which is 6 teams on a bye week is just absolutely insane.
How dare you take Jaden Daniels away from me when I am vying for the playoffs in both leagues, NFL. I know you don't care about fantasy football, but a lot of the country does, and a lot of the world does, okay?
They care, but they also don't care.
Yeah.
All right, we're going to start talking about NFL Week 14. We'll talk about our most intriguing matchups of the week. Dustin, why don't you go ahead and lead us off? Who is your most intriguing matchup?
Well, again, you like I said, we might have already seen the most intriguing matchup, and it was Thursday. And you picked a great one, but again, you and I try very hard not to pick the same games. So I am running it back with the Seahawks versus the Cardinals. The Cardinals got away last week with a nail biter of it was a loss to the Vikings, right? The Vikings came out on top in that one. So the Cardinals need a win. And my beloved Seattle Seahawks need a win to go a long way in trying to sew up what has been one of the most, in the weirdest way, compelling divisions to watch in football, because there's a different team in first place, it seems like, every week.
Yeah.
So the Seahawks need this win, and the Cardinals, I think both teams are going to be ready for this one. The Seahawks, they should be aware they got away with a very sloppy win against the New York Jets. They easily could have lost that game. They need to shore up their special teams a little bit. And I think they made some signings to do that. They signed a returner from Cleveland this week. I know that, and it was probably in direct response to Laviska Shenault's troubles back there. But they need a win as well. But these two teams, if both of them play to their potential and how they've looked at points this season, this could be a great game to watch, and probably a nail biter, and one that's going to cause me to yell a little bit and lean on the edge of my couch. I'll probably watch this one in private because this one has stakes. So I get it. It's a bit of like a homer alert possibly, but I really think it's an intriguing game. The Seahawks really surprised people the way they shut down the Cardinals 16-6 last time they played. We'll see if the Cardinals can respond at all. For my sake, I hope they don't. But I think this could be a very good game. Two teams, divisional rivals. It has huge ramifications in the division, so I've got my eyes all over this one.
Yeah, we have a lot of games that are complete dog breakfasts. Dog's breakfasts this week. But one that I have my eye on that is not going to be a dog's breakfast. I hope that it's not a dog's breakfast. Is Chiefs Chargers Sunday Night Football. Now we're talking about the Chargers. They may not catch the Chiefs in the standings. Currently, the Chiefs are 11-1. Chargers are 8-4. So they're 3 games behind. I don't think barring a miracle, they're not going to catch them. They're not going to catch the Chiefs.
Yeah.
But they are in a playoff spot right now, and they're going to want to keep pace in the seedings with a win at Arrowhead. Here's the problem. The Chiefs have won their last 6 games against the Chargers, and the Chargers have not won at Arrowhead since 2021. Guess what happened that season in 2021? That season, the Chargers swept the Chiefs that season.
Oh,
mm-hmm.
Wow. Yeah. I think I remember that because it just, it's crazy. Okay. We can all hate on the Chiefs as much as we want, and we will. But the fact that Patrick Mahomes, his standard is basically, I'm going to get to the AFC Championship game at least, is ridiculous. Like, he doesn't know what it's like to have any other outcome. It's either Super Bowl or AFC Championship game. So that's ridiculous. So that's why, as soon as you mentioned that, I think the Chargers, that just doesn't happen. The Chargers swept the Chiefs that season. That's amazing.
Yeah. And that was the season that the Chiefs went to the AFC Championship game and lost to the Bengals in overtime. That was the game that they lost at home. So that's my most intriguing matchup. We've got some more games to talk about. Desperation City, Bounce Back City, Falcons Vikings. This is a must win for this is a must win for the Falcons, especially the Falcons because they've lost 2 in a row. They're playing the Vikings, who I still think are frauds. Gonna say it. Falcons are currently tied for the division with the Saints right up on their heels. They're 2 games back, but the Saints are surging because, well, they were surging. They lost last week against the Rams. But one of these teams has to win the division. And with the Buccaneers on a bye I think the Buccaneers were on a bye last week, if I'm not mistaken. But the Falcons had a chance to go up 2 games and go up a game in this division. They didn't, and they lost. They went up losing. So this is a must-win for the Falcons. We got to figure out if who's going to be, because we talked about the NFC South being an absolute travesty. That division being a travesty with 2 teams at the top of the division at 500, and you have another team 2 games back of them, and then you get the Panthers. But yeah, this is absolutely a must win for the Falcons, and it's against a team like the Vikings, who start off the year very hot. They've won 5 in a row, but they've all been close games, including last week's win against the Cardinals, where they were behind most of the game and then wound up winning. So this is a must win I think it's a must win for both teams, but it's a must win for Atlanta especially.
Yeah, I think you picked, as I say, Ryan and I really try hard not to pick the same games, but in my mind, for all the reasons that Ryan just so beautifully and eloquently laid out, that's why he's my podcasting brother. That's why he's the host of the show, the host with the most. This is the game. This is the one that stuck out to me. I couldn't come up with another game to pick, especially with 6 teams on bye. The NFL makes it harder because there's less games. But this is the one. And I have nothing to add.
All right, let's move on to the self-hatred game of the week.
Ready? And pull! Trash!
And I'm going to defer to my broadcasting partner here for his self-hatred game of the week.
Well, as you said, the slate, there were a lot of options to pick from for this week, but I am picking Bucks versus the Raiders, and I'm going to lay out why. I know the game you picked. It is also a real steamer. But the
In a bad
reason,
way, folks. In a bad way.
yeah, the way that I'm picking the reason that I'm picking this game is, let me lay it out for you. The Raiders played what is effectively their Super Bowl last week on Friday when they brought the Chiefs down to the wire for the second year in a row, I might add, because people forget they beat them on Christmas Day last year. That was the Antonio Pierce had his team motivated to play for that game. And when you're going up against the best, every team in the NFL, like their best, they're going to throw it against the Chiefs because everybody wants to be the one that knocked the Chiefs off. So I think the Raiders are going to come out in this game with a little bit of a hangover. They're not, that emotional near win, but that ended up being a loss. Aiden O'Connell probably played, by his standards, the best game of the season that he's going to play. I think Todd Bowles, we just laid out the NFC South division. The Bucs have things to play for. The Bucs feel like the best team in that division, but they haven't pulled themselves away, so that division is still very much up for grabs, but talent-wise, the Bucs feel like the best team because Atlanta has underperformed. But I mean, I think the Bucs sew this one up early. They have things to play for. We've extolled the virtues of Todd Bowles and his defensive prowess. He is going to scheme the Raiders within an inch of their life. And the Bucs have the horses to get this thing out into an early lead, and I think they will. And on the other side, the Raiders, yes, they have at points looked okay on defense, but offensively they can't even run the ball. And when you have a quarterback that, no disrespect to Aiden O'Connell, he's better than I could ever hope to be. He has more talent in his pinky, but by NFL quarterback standards, he's got to be near the bottom of the league. And then at least when you go through starters right now. And then to add to the fact that with whether it be Zamir White, whether it be Alexander Madison, Amir Abdullah, I think, was starting for the Raiders at one point. Yep. No matter who it is, they can't run the ball. And when you can't run the ball and you have a passer that is he's not elite, and you're one-dimensional, that spells big trouble, especially for a defensive maven like Todd Bowles. So this game could get out of hand in a hurry.
Playmaker is asking, "Oh no, is Ryan is picking Jets Dolphins?" Nope,
he's not.
I am not picking Jets Dolphins. Jaguars Titans is my self-featured game of the week.
Oh man,
Mac Jones, Will Levis. It's a terrible game.
Nick Westbrook-Aquino. Will he get a touchdown?
If anybody scores a touchdown in this game, it'll be a miracle, because it's on one side of the ball. Trevor Lawrence done for the year after a really terrible head injury last week, sliding, got hit and just his head bounced off the turf. He's out for the rest of the year with a concussion. And the only thing to write home about with the Titans is their defense. And this game is just going to be, there's reasons why I praise the Lord Almighty for Red Zone. This game is one of those games, especially this late in the season, where both teams are just basically playing for draft position. And if I go to tankathon.com, currently has Jacksonville with the number 1 pick in the draft again. And Tennessee is number 7 currently. They currently have number 7, or the 7th pick in the draft. So the Jacksonville Jaguars is just,
This is why
they fail so much. Why are they?
Yes,
they are the Panthers of the AFC. Except Shad Khan is not throwing drinks at other fans.
Yeah.
So, but everything he's touched with this team has turned to crap.
Yeah. And it's amazing because there's not that many changes. Correct me if I'm wrong. I'm not I don't follow the team down in Duval very closely, but there's not that many changes from the team that took that. The Chiefs gave them all they could have. That was in the wild card, wasn't it? Or they took the Chiefs, gave them all they could have just a couple of years ago.
That was the divisional. Yeah, because they came back to beat the Chargers in the wild card the week before.
Yes, because of Brandon Staley Field making that lead disappear. Still one of my favorite moments. Scott's like, he should be fired on the tarmac.
Should be left on the tarmac. And Playmaker saying, the Calvin Ridley game. Excellent choice here. Well, thank you very much. And I mean to correct myself. I referred to Ashton Jeanty as Austin Jeanty.
Okay.
I apologize, but I just found this out. He's averaging 190 yards a game, and he's 132 yards from breaking the all-time record from Barry Sanders, held by Barry Sanders. Wow. Barry Sanders has the most rushing yards in a season with 2,628 in 11 games, and Ashton Jeanty has 2,497 yards in 13 games. So, Playmaker complimenting you, saying, "Good job on the Duval, Dustin."
Oh, thank you very much.
All right, let's take a look at the players to watch on offense this week. And my player to watch on offense is the one, the only current rushing leader in the NFL, Saquon Barkley. Currently has 1,499 yards, and he is facing the worst rush defense in the league this week in the Carolina Panthers. And if he doesn't get 150 yards in this game, rushing in this game, I will be severely disappointed, because I believe he's on pace for 2,000 at this point. If I look at the schedule for the Eagles, see who their remaining opponents are. They have Carolina this week, the Steelers, Commanders, Cowboys, and Giants for the rest of the year. Steelers have a pretty good rush defense. But I don't know. I'll have to look and see how the Commanders, Cowboys, and Giants are. But right now, Saquon Barkley looks to be on pace for 2,000 yards. He's got 1,499 currently. But like I said, if he doesn't finish with at least 150 in this game, I will be disappointed. So for you, Dustin, your player to watch on offense this week.
Well, I kind of picked two this week, and they're both quarterbacks, and I picked them for opposite reasons, okay, respectively. One, I wasn't able to watch this game last week, but I understand the Steelers-Bengals. I caught up best I could when I got home. Russell Wilson went off last week, okay? He really had inarguably his best game of the last 3 years by a mile. Mm-hmm. And I want to see, can he do it again? Can he do it again against a Browns defense, which I almost picked Steelers-Browns for my most intriguing game. Don't look now, but the Browns with Jameis Winston, despite the fact that Jameis threw, I believe it was 3 picks last week, maybe 4 picks. I'm trying to remember. He also threw for 4 or 5 touchdowns. Jameis has revitalized the Browns. They are a different team with him under center, and you have to wonder what it could have been had they gone to him earlier. They look like a different team. This Browns defense still has some pieces. They still have some talent on defense, and they have Myles Garrett, who I will be watching. I may get to him later in the show. But can Russ replicate, or at least come close to, his amazing performance from last week? The other player I've picked, complete opposite end of the spectrum. Kirk Cousins was awful last week. He was terrible. Threw a lot of picks. I mean, just, man, when you go back and you think that the Atlanta Falcons supposedly had a outside chance to acquire Lamar Jackson, if they would have had to give up a lot, and Lamar wanted a lot of money, and ultimately he and Baltimore came to a resolution of sorts. But can you imagine Lamar Jackson in Atlanta? That would have been crazy. But Kirk Cousins, they go out and they give him all that money, and he has arguably his worst game of the season last week. And that division still very much up for grabs. They need to start winning, the Falcons, if they want to win this division. And
Yep.
will he rebound at all? Will Two Chains go out there and rebound? So I got my eye on 2 quarterbacks this week. And with that, I cede the floor to you.
So I looked up while you were going on your players to watch this week. By the way, Jameis Winston had almost 500 yards passing last Monday against the Broncos, but he threw 2 pick sixes.
Yeah.
Jameis Winston, typical Jameis Winston fan.
Jameis is the perfect example of, and I can't take credit for this.
High
I
risk,
forget who
high
came up with it,
reward.
but he is the equivalent of live by the sword, die by the sword. If you have the stones to start Jameis in fantasy, you live by the
bless you.
Jameis, you die by the Jameis.
Yep. So I looked up the stats for the Saquon Barkley's next 5 opponents. From this week on. So Carolina ranks last in rushing defense. The Steelers rank 4th. His next 3 opponents: Washington, Dallas, New York. Washington, 30th in rush defense.
Wow.
Dallas, 29th in rush defense. New York Giants, 28th in rush defense.
He's got a shot.
He's got a shot. He's got a wicked shot at 2,000.
Yeah.
Man, oh man. You better get 2,000. All right. Players to watch on defense.
I can't have him locked up. He's important to the defense.
Got that right. It's important to the defense. Dustin, who you got your eye on this week?
Okay, now this one, I'm going to go back to the game that I was just mentioning, but on the defensive side, I will be watching Myles Garrett. I will be watching Myles Garrett to see if he can kind of wreck this game a little bit, make it sloppy, and give the Browns a chance. He's got to get pressure on Russell Wilson, and at earlier points in the season, it's shown you can do that. You can get some pressure on this Steelers offensive line. So I'll be looking at Myles Garrett specifically to see if he can get a few sacks in this one and make it interesting, because I really enjoyed that last time these two teams played, and I'm kind of hoping for something similar. I'll be honest.
So for my player to watch on defense, it's Trey Hendrickson, the current sack leader in the National Football League, with 11.5 sacks, playing against the porous Dallas Cowboys offensive line, who has allowed 30 sacks this year. And if I'm looking at that stat line, if I'm Trey Hendrickson and I'm on the Bengals defensive line, I'm looking at my chops.
Oh yeah. I mean, especially, isn't Zach Martin's out for the season, isn't he?
Yes.
Yeah.
You are correct, sir.
Yeah,
you are correct. So, yikes. All right. Well, we're going to get out of here. But before we do, just want to remind you about our social media channels. Follow us on Facebook.com/NoCardsREQ, Twitter, Instagram, the scarcely used TikTok @NoCardsREQ, YouTube.com/@NoCardsREQ. Subscribe to the podcast wherever you find podcasts, including Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Spreaker, Amazon Music, iHeart, TuneIn, and Pandora. And get yourself notified on Twitter and on YouTube. That way you know when we're live or new videos go up. We'll make sure that just make sure that you get notified. And on the podcast side, subscribe to the podcast wherever you find podcasts. Rate and review. A 5-star rating would be helpful, and leave us a review wherever if you're on a podcast platform where you can review. Also, if you're on Spotify, if you subscribe to us on Spotify, leave us a comment. Again, we'll make sure we read it on the air, and engage with the show, whether you are watching live or you're watching on a replay. Leave us a comment, and if you leave us a comment on the replay, again, we'll read it on the air. So thank you again for joining us in the Saturday edition of No Credentials Required, where you don't need a press pass to talk sports. We are presented by the Belly Up Sports Media Network. For Dustin Henry, I'm Ryan McCarthy. We'll be back on Tuesday, a little bit later, but we'll be back on Tuesday around about 8:15, 8:30-ish to talk Week 14 in the NFL. Hopefully there's some surprises. Hopefully not every game is a dog's breakfast, like we mentioned earlier. But but again, and we're also going to have a new edition of the Three Rails Metro Hockey Podcast, probably posted on Monday. So stay tuned for that. In the meantime, enjoy yourselves. Have a safe weekend. Have a happy weekend. And we'll talk to you on Tuesday.
Good morning, everybody.
Indeed.